name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into Tech Path. A couple of things we'll be talking about, of course, is where Bitcoin is going, why it's going there, and also give you some looks at some charts a little bit later in the show. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Coinledger. Coinledger.io. Make sure and go over and visit their website. This is going to be the best place to do your crypto taxes, and you can do it in minutes. All you have to do is plug in with them. The cool thing I like about Coinledger is they charge you nothing. It's kind of like with TurboTax. They charge you nothing to get all this done. And then once that you see the results, then you can, of course, join and pay and get your final tax report of all your wallets, all your exchanges, all your DeFi. This is one of the best values out there. Make sure and use our link down below. It does help the channel. Check it out, too. It's going to be good. All right, a couple of points I want to hit on here. Bitcoin breaking 50K, first time since hitting all-time high in 2021. This is a huge psychological position, not only for new people, but I think even for people that have been in crypto for a while. Many people did not think we would be this fast into 50K pre-halving and just barely going into the month of February, because February has still been looked at as possibly a down month. Many reasons why. Macro, the dovish scenario that's coming out of the Fed, what we might see is higher for longer, the same price for longer, or same rates for longer. All of that playing into this. Article kind of breaks down a couple of points here. Hasn't hit it since December 2021. Everybody remembers those days, right? Up by more than 15% over the past 7 days. Over the past month, 16%. So an asset that has become so large on the global stage to move in that capacity in a very short period of time shows you the fluidity of an asset like Bitcoin, but also the liquidity of an asset like Bitcoin. So this is what everybody out there really loves about investing, I think, in crypto. Grayscale selling off coins after investors wanted to redeem their shares. That pressure seems to have eased. Many people have been looking at that. When you're looking at the ETF trackers, I'll show you some of that in a second, because that, I think, is still one of the bigger points of interest here in going forward. Over on X, a couple of people kind of hitting a couple of interesting points here. Bitcoin hits 50K while Google search volumes are actually relatively low in comparison to where the price is. So this is something that we've tracked quite a while. I also would compare that to views on crypto channels like ours, where views may not necessarily be flying, but at the same time, the market is exploding. So I think this is the existing market that is out there right now. I don't think that retail has come in, and I'm not sure that all of institutions have truly come in, even though they're starting to see some pretty amazing numbers come through. Here's Jacob Canfield. This was kind of interesting to me, is his statements here: breaking yearly highs, funding completely flat on Binance and Bybit, meaning interesting that we aren't seeing a lot of inflows coming into that. But at the same time, traditional markets are going to FOMO into these ETFs after they start seeing these outperformers, which is what's happening right now. Outperformance is starting to happen in these ETFs. Guess what? This is normal financial tactics that are going to be ramped up on the sales teams of all these ETFs. They're going to be out there showcasing this as kind of their poster child of performance, and it's going to be one of the top ones, just like when you get a hot stock. That's what I think will draw in a lot of these real investors going forward, looking at growth into the future. The other thing that's going to play into this, Bitcoin soars to the 10th largest asset class globally. So this leaves Berkshire Hathaway and JP Morgan behind. So, just remember the two words I just said there: Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan. That's crazy. Nearly 1 trillion mark reflects an extraordinary ascent, highlighting the leading crypto's growing prominence, solidifying status in the financial market. I think that's already been proven now that we've got Wall Street active. This also particularly noteworthy is comparison to ETH, second largest cryptocurrency, which occupies the 36th spot. I think ETH is still underperforming right now. ETH is one of the ones that I think is a little bit on an opportunity for a potential move. So a lot to talk about. We'll probably do a video on that later this week. Notably, the market cap exceeds the industry's titans such as Berkshire Hathaway at $861 billion, Tesla, Visa, JP Morgan, $500 billion. All of this happening, Bitcoin sitting there at the number 10 position. This is crazy. It's getting ready to flip Meta. Is that right? It's going to flip Meta. Holy moly. We're going to see it happen, I think, maybe within the next few weeks as we start to move forward. All right, a couple other things that are happening on the mainstream, and that is Super Bowl happened. And we had Jack Dorsey out there kind of doing a little bit of a Bitcoin ad. So nice there with Beyonce and Jay-Z wearing his Satoshi shirt. people probably don't even know what that is. I think Bitcoin would have been better, but I like the fact that if you know, you know kind of thing is the way Jack plays it. So good deal. But the real ad is this. Let's just put it out there. No better advertisement out there for spot ETFs than this guy saying that it's the asset to be in. So, and of course, 50K is only proving him right after he goes out and launches an ETF, and 3 weeks later, all of his investors are up 20%. Who does that? That's not something you see very often. 21 shares, of course, right here. ARK made another big movement right here, and that is crossing 1 billion in Bitcoin holdings. This isn't just a number, it's a testament to this massive movement on Wall Street that, of course, is moving very aggressively. And I think all of these ETF managers, they've known this. I think they knew what was going to happen, but I'm not sure that they could prove it at scale, because this is more than just ARK. This is Fidelity, BlackRock. These and others are really been performing pretty significantly in just a little bit of the last few weeks. Really a hot project for sure. All right, a couple other things I want to hit on, and this is Anthony Pompliano. Pomp, who's how you guys know him, but he's talking about the ETFs. He was over on CNBC. Listen to what I had to say.
I mean, look, the verdict's in, right? Wall Street doesn't just like Bitcoin, they love Bitcoin. If you think of these assets, there's been over 5,500 ETF launches in history. Never have we had a fund get to $3 billion in AUM in the first 30 days. BlackRock and Fidelity both just did it. So two for the first time in history. And then if you look at Bitwise and 21 shares, ARK, they're both going to hit $1 billion this year, or this week. And so now you have 4 funds that are going to hit $1 billion of inflows. But the most interesting part of this is the inflows. These funds are doing $500 million a day of net inflows. But there's only 900 Bitcoin that is actually coming into the daily incoming supply. And so when you look at that, that's like $40 to $45 million. There's 12.5x more demand for Bitcoin than what's being produced on a daily basis.
So how much of this do you think is being generated by the ETFs themselves?
Well, I mean, you can just measure the actual net inflows, right? And so you can just see there is way more buying pressure.
So you're saying $3 billion for BlackRock.
There's $4 billion now for BlackRock, 3.5 for Fidelity, and then you've got Bitwise and 21 shares will both hit about $1 billion this upcoming week.
All right, so inflows coming in over the pace in which there's enough Bitcoin there, and then you have the halving happening in basically 2 months. This is going to be a very interesting cycle to watch for sure. Here's another look at the top 25 ETFs by assets after 1 month on the market. And out of 5,500 total launches in 30 years, that's crazy, 30 years, IBIT and FBDC in the league of their own. This, of course, is Fidelity and BlackRock leading the way right there. That is insane for, one, I think it just showcases to Wall Street what the demand of this asset class is. I think it also showcases to lawmakers what the potential is here. And I think we're going to see some very interesting things happen outside of just Bitcoin itself. We'll get into that in a second. I want to go into another clip here by Pomp talking about the favorite asset, but where this might be going. Listen in.
80% of all Bitcoin in circulation has not moved in the last 6 months. You have only about $200 billion that's actually tradable. And so that means that these ETFs sucked up 5% of the entire tradable supply of Bitcoin in 30 days. I mean, Bitcoin has become Wall Street's favorite asset.
5% doesn't sound like a lot. Here's what I'm thinking.
30 days?
It used to take a lot for someone to invest in Bitcoin.
Yes.
It's real easy right now. And I don't know, are we going to 90,000 in a year? That'd be too weird. People don't double their money by buying an ETF in a year. So I think it might be a currency that you can use because it's going to stay at 47,000.
Well, look, the world is changing for sure. I mean, last year, the NASDAQ was up 50%, right? And so there's definitely these big moves that happen in the traditional markets. Bitcoin, obviously, is that on steroids. But the other thing that's now starting to happen, Fidelity just came out, and they've got a fund. It's an all-in-one fund out in Canada. And they're going to put 1% to 3% of that fund into the Bitcoin ETF. And so what you're going to start seeing is not just direct inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs. You're going to start seeing them putting Bitcoin into all of their funds because it, from a risk-reward standpoint, drastically improves the performance of these portfolios. And they're going to start to realize if I'm lagging indicators, if I'm lagging performance, if I put a little bit of Bitcoin, 1% to 3% into this portfolio, it's going to enhance my returns.
Bitcoin.
All right, so I mean, you see a little bit of hesitancy there from traditional finance in general. Of course, when they were talking about this, 47K now is turned into 50K. We're most likely going to see a 52K position come soon. And Pomp, I think, does hit it on the head. 5% in 30 days, I don't care what number you're looking at in terms of the amount of stock acquisition. I don't see those kind of performance numbers in anything we've seen in traditional finance. So, and he did mention that there's a lot of other hyper performing assets. Look at NVIDIA, look at Meta, what we've been able to see in a very short period of time. But with Bitcoin, it's a different animal because this is a global product that is being used around the planet, all over the place, and it drives so much of the rest of the crypto market for sure. Another clip I want to get into is price predictions. Listen in.
You're a bull, you're an owner. What's the thing you worry about? Being wrong about?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it's not so much right or wrong as much as it is like the return of this asset is going to dampen over time just as it gets larger and as the holder base changes. One of the things that hasn't happened in the Bitcoin community previously is things like rebalancing. And so when you all of a sudden give financial advisors an asset, and let's say you have a 1% allocation and it goes to 5%, you're going to sell. You're going to rebalance that portfolio. And so when the holder base is changing, you have to understand that the return profile will come down. And so if you think that you're going to buy Bitcoin and it's going to help you retire, those days probably are behind. But what it will do is outperform stock.
But then you're not in the camp of the Cathie Woods $500,000 million base case Bitcoin valuation issue. Because, by the way, if that's true, then you can retire.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, it depends on the timeline, right? So if you're saying it's going to go from 50,000 to 500,000, which is 10x, and that's going to happen over the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think she thinks that that's what's going to happen.
That's not that crazy, right? I mean, again, NASDAQ was up 50% last year. I'm not saying NASDAQ's going to go up 50% every year, but we live in a world where it has completely lost all ties to reality because we are printing an enormous amount of money. The interest payment on the debt is $1 trillion. Right? It was a video game number. And so in that world, how much are these assets worth when the denominator is just being debased away? They're going to be worth a lot more. You can just start putting zeros on the end of the values of these assets.
The year end is what?
The year end?
Year end target?
It's above an all-time high.
All right, so above all-time highs last time, 69K. I think, Anthony hit a couple things there that are intriguing is the user base trading out, meaning most everybody that's in Bitcoin today, very hodl type mentality, going to be there for a long time, versus what we're seeing in terms of a very fast ascent of new money coming in. And especially from an asset manager standpoint, a 1 to 5%, he is exactly right. You start seeing those kind of returns, you are going to rebalance, and you're going to be looking at going into some other things. Like what? Maybe Ethereum, maybe Solana, maybe Avalanche. Those are the kind of vehicles that I think the Bitcoin move at this pace is going to cause some pretty significant runs, I think, overall. And if you just consider what that means, institutional crypto holdings are hitting a 2-year high on CoinShares. This, of course, is a couple of things that go outside of Bitcoin by itself. $60 billion mark not been set or met since February 2022. Institutions held about $60 billion. From all the conversation we have with clients, they're also buying diversification and enhanced risk-adjusted returns. So you look at some of the things that could play into this, Solana, Ethereum, even things like Cardano, XRP. There's a lot that I think there are going to be some very interesting scenarios playing out with investors of how they rebalance. And this is why you have to watch for these movers and either be convicted about what you believe in and what they can do, or be in there strictly as a trader, whatever your strategy might be. All right, so last up here, blockchain going to unlock about $400 billion in global financial innovation. This again gets back into the opportunity of where this might go for real innovation in the financial community, but more importantly, I think in the global financial markets, especially in nation states. And I'm talking about emerging countries as well as even some of the G20s that will start to get back to the point that Pompliano was talking about, is the amount of devaluation of currency and what this digital asset might mean. So definitely on the right track for sure. It has nothing to do with crypto and speculation. That was really a start of the mind. Rewiring the global financial system on blockchain rails. But further in the article right here, German tech giant Siemens tokenized bond issuance on Polygon February. This is reducing settlement times from 7 to 1 day. So that's massive by itself. Also, it reduces costs by percentage points that equate to trillions of dollars annually. This is one company, one bond issuer. This is happening. And I think it's happening at a pace in which a lot of people are not aware of it. So for you guys watching our show, make sure and hit the subscribe button right now, because this is going to get you into the algorithm of understanding what's happening on an ongoing basis. You'll get updated when we get a drop of these new videos, and it's going to start you on your way. Hopefully you're brand new to what's happening in crypto and you're starting to get kind of woke around really the opportunity. So it's a big one for sure. If you're not in the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in right now. It's a great place to get additional content, or catch me on X at Paul Barron. Catch you next time right here on TechPath.